On the eve of pre-patch day, I was visited by the ghost of expansions past, Ion Hadzi Scrooge, and he asked me, what will you miss from BFA? What would you rather had in Shadowlands that is going to be lost from BFA, that's not going to be here? Something that might have made the expansion better, or nice, tiny little quality of life that is going to be lost. It was a tough question, thinking about some things I wanted to carry over from BFA. Obviously, I can give full merit to the art team and the raid design teams. Those are a staple of Warcraft expansions. Good zones, good art style, good aesthetics, good raids, good dungeons and all of that. But what about the unique things, the unique systems and game mechanics that they added in an expansion that I'm going to be missing when the new expansion is over? For example, Tower Challenge was an easy one from Legion, right? That was an easy call. Some more Divide, for example, with the artifact weapon. Some people liked it, some people didn't, right? So what about BFA going into Shadowlands? I had to think about this for a while, and I came up with a few things that I'm actually going to miss from BFA. So let's look over these systems that we will be missing. Imagine this. You're off doing a world quest for Anima. Obviously there is no flying, so you are mounted on the ground. You reach the quest, you do it, and now it's time to go back. And you use your trusty Flight Master's Whistle to go back. Well, in Shadowlands there is no Flight Master's Whistle. Throughout the alpha and now the beta, there has been no addition of any kind of Flight Master Whistle. This, to me, is going to be a big loss, particularly all the way up to the Pathfinder unlocking of your flying in Shadowlands, which is going to happen, 2 tiers in, probably. 1, 2, depending on the time delay. That's going to be hurtful, When you're on the ground, especially with these Shadowlands zones that have quite a bit of verticality. They have continued this throughout Legion and now BFA, where the zones seem smaller, right? They seem like they have shrunk compared to, say, Cataclysm or Mist of Pandaria, but that's because they have a bunch of buildings, they have a bunch of caves, they have a bunch of up and down zones, and not having a flight whistle is going to, drag down the time you have to spend traveling, essentially. The travel system has been enhanced, but only partially. Some of the bonuses you can get with your Covenant by ranking up can give you some special things in certain locations, and luckily, if you're Bastion, that's an instant teleport in Bastion to those zones, but that's just it. Nobody else gets freebies to teleport around, so you're stuck just with flight paths and flight masters. But that's it. All the other 3 zones, and then of course the mall, you won't be able to unlock any of that. And that doesn't make up for the lack of a Flight Master Whistle. To me, that's a pretty big miss for my quality of life open world activities I will have to do in Shadowlands. Talking about open world, we have another issue I believe I'm going to resent in Shadowlands eventually. I believe that Boralus and Dazar'alor are going to be better quest hubs, city hubs, main hubs than Oribos. As usual, our team, on point when it comes to design. Oribos is very pretty, is very cool, very nice aesthetics, very cool new race as well that is going to be in there. The problem I have with this is when style starts infringing into my substance, when aesthetics start infringing into my gameplay experience. What is the problem with Oribos? Oribos has an entire outer ring which is on foot only, no mount allowed. And obviously the entire outer ring is where everything is. Professions are going to be in the outer ring, you're going to have your main NPC, quest NPCs with the Maw campaign questline and the Torghast questline are all in there. You have your Great Vault, your replacement for the Mythic Plus weekly cash is going to be in there. Your PvP vendors are going to be in there. Everything is in there. And that's a no mount zone, which means whenever you want to go in there, you have to get dismounted, and then you have to move 20 yards out to mount again. It's annoying. It's just, I don't think it's necessary to get you dismounted in there. The second problem with Oribos is that if you have missed, the lore, we happen to essentially be going to just 4 of the hundreds of possible dimensions that exist in Shadowlands. Revendreth, Ardenweald, Bastion, and Maldraxxus are just 4 of many. So the lore explanation is that when you're in Oribos, you have to take a flight/teleportation to go to one of these zones. In short, this takes too long. First of all, you have to take a mini portal to go upstairs, and then you have to mount up to get to the actual flight path, and then you have to start flying there. It's annoying. Compared to Boralus and Dazar'alor, you were way more free to travel there. you could just, especially because they were both in the open, you could just mount up and leave when you have your flying. If you didn't have flying, you could just get to the flight path and start flying immediately. In Oribos, there is some multiple steps that are going to make you waste time unnecessarily, and it's quite annoying to me. Between that and the fact that a big chunk of Oribos, which is the most important part, is the part where you can't be mounted, to me it's an annoyance. Another one, coming in as a surprise, is going to be essences. You know, a lot of us, a lot of you, a lot of them complain about borrowed powers, right? Too many borrowed powers, we're getting swarmed in borrowed powers, and then when a new expansion comes in, we lose them, it feels bad, etc, etc. However, I'm sure most of you would not object to the fact that gaining new powers and new ways to play the game is bad. You're just debating the fact that it is a type of system that you lose at the end of an expansion. But for example, if essences were a permanent part of your kit, maybe even, you know, styled towards your class, you would have no problems with it, right? My problem with losing essences is that they were very nice plug and play system. They were not too heavily reliant on RNG. Their acquisition system, besides a few ones like Conflict and Strike, were very simple. You know, it didn't take too long to get them. You didn't require a lot of luck, for example, or super hard content to unlock them. So they were more or less available to everyone in a reasonably short amount of time. I'm not talking about the acquisition for alts, that's a different problem. I'm talking about purely from a borrowed power system, probably a little bit influenced by this choice, given how more strict, how more static and on rails conduits seem like they're going to be, you know, with all these restrictions about respecking and changing them. It feels like, in comparison, essences are, you know, a way better system when it comes to choosing how you want to play with them. You can set them up for your main spec. When you respec, you got them automatically set up for your off spec. You have no problems respecking whenever you want. So to me, when you come into Shadowlands and you start having to deal with things like conduits and the soulbinds and the restrictions, essences by comparison look much more fluid and dynamic, which is also why it's the only borrowed power system I'm putting here. It's the only one that actually felt nice. Now, going a little bit against the grain, I'm going to rant about consumables. I know a lot of people will like this, the fact that you have way more choice of consumables. Now you have more enchants and more enchant slots. They are back. You have oils, you have grindstones, you have armor kits, you have more potions to choose from, and now you have sockets. Not just from the last tier introduced from a vendor, like in BFA, but right from the start. And I am against this. I'm against this because what I like about consumables is the choice, is the option and the variety. For example, I don't have a problem with food. You have all your stats, you have your primary stat, you know, you can choose. Potions, same. There is more DPS potions that you can choose from, as well as healing potions that you can choose from in Shadowlands, so that's fine. What I'm not fine is the rest. So the sockets are only available through the Mo when you farm Stygia. I already pointed out how annoying I find this. Locking a legit power level for your character behind a grind system in the Mo, especially when you make the Mo so boring, it's annoying. The armor kits are also very annoying because there is no option. It's just a stamina buff that you have to use in PvE. You don't have the choice between stamina, less magic damage taken, less physical damage taken. It's just stamina. You have to use it every time. I don't like that type of consumable. The same goes for grindstones. You know, attack power on your blunt weapon or your pointy weapons. There is no other option there. It's not crit, haste, some extra effects, nothing. It's just use it every time. Same goes for oils. You've got the damage oil and the healing oil. That's it. No other option. Even the enchants, you know, some of the enchants that they added are weird. You have choices for the chest piece, which is very good. You even have the choice between, you know, the tanking enchant, the healing enchant, or the flat out more stats enchant. Those are nice, but what's the point on keeping the bracer enchant or the glove enchant if all they do is give you 15 intellect or 15 strength? 80% of the specs won't be able to use 15 strength, and that's the only enchant you can use. Same for intellect, you know, it's a weird choice. It's a weird choice not giving you choice. It's weird. I don't like it as a consumable. So I know a lot of people will enjoy having more consumables, but to me, it just seems like an extra clutter for no real reason, especially because this is not going to enhance the experience of professions. You know, the armor kits for leatherworking are very cheap. They're not going to be making you a fortune. When it comes to alchemy, you're going to be making money with potions and flasks, not with oils. It seems like a weird choice. Having such a small number of consumables to choose from in certain areas, or just one, like in the armor kit case or the oil case, it just seems weird. I would have rather stayed like we were in BFA. And these were the main things I will be missing from BFA. Luckily, there is nothing major. Luckily, there is no gigantic thing that we will be missing. Obviously, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to Blizzard on their quality of raid design, dungeon design, art style, sound effect, etc, etc. That usually always top notch, so it's unlikely I'm going to be missing the one from BFA. So what we have left is not very painful to miss, essentially, right? On the other hand, on the next video, it's going to be about what I will not be missing from BFA. And that's going to be a little bit more spicy, because we've got some choices to make there. So tell me what you guys will be missing from BFA. Please don't say things like Island Expeditions, just please don't. And as we wait for my next video, in the meantime, I'm going to be playing Legos with my nephews.